During her distinguished career as a historian, Nell Irvin Painter has published 7 books, earned a long list of honors and awards, served on editorial and academic boards, and taught several generations of students during her 2 decades at Princeton University, where she recently retired as the Edwards Professor of American History, Emeritus.
So the book I'm working on is called The History of White People. And people say, well, you know, what's that?
Painter continues to speak and lecture. Today she's giving a talk to some American Studies students at Princeton, and she's midway through her term as president of the Organization of American Historians. She's also under contract to complete 2 additional books.
Well, that's what I want to put to Professor Nell Painter, one of our country's distinguished historians.
And she is a sought-after talking head on news and public affairs programs. Here she is on the Bill Moyers Journal.
Welcome to the Journal.
Thank you.
Everybody's throwing around the word populism. Do you think they know what they're talking about?
It sounds as if people who are throwing it around as a dirty word. And if it is a dirty word, they don't know what they're talking about.
That would be a pretty full schedule for most people, retired or otherwise, but not for Nell Painter. In 2007, she decided to go back to school full-time as an art student. She is currently a sophomore at Mason Gross School of the Arts at Rutgers, working toward a BFA.
Get the excess, and then you can do your buffing down with that.
After I decided to do this, I applied to Rutgers and I got in. And when you get in at Rutgers, they send you a little certificate to say you've been admitted. I had this little certificate and I was so proud. And I put it up on the wall. And about 3 days later, I thought, you need to have your head examined. This is so silly. This is so dumb. Why are you doing this? At your age, why are you doing this? You're just asking for trouble. You know, and it went on and on like that for about a day. And then I thought, I really want to do this. That's why.
Still looks contrast. You doesn't have a kind of softness of tone.
Yeah.
So, number one,
this is no dilettantish recreation. Her goal is to become a professional working artist. She's inspired in part by her mother, now in her 90s, who started a new career after retiring as an educator.
My mother taught me to write, and she'd been watching me and my friends all these years writing these books, and she said, boy, that looks like it would be something I'd enjoy. So when she retired, she set out to write a book. It took her 10 years to write it and publish it, and it came out in 1992. And then she took another 10 years to write another book that came out 10 years later. So here was my role model, so to speak, my mother, who did something entirely different in her retirement.
Does that look okay, Randy? Does that look okay?
So I figure I have a good 20 years, which is okay for a career.
Nell Painter had taken lots of art in high school and was briefly an art major in college, but hasn't practiced the physical skills of making art in decades. And she says it shows.
My undergraduate peers, most of them are much more skilled than I am.
Last time I couldn't have done it without you.
But my skills are within range.
Well, it's true, isn't it?
And
yeah.
Having lived a life, I'm not trying to find myself. I have less to do in a way in art school than some of my younger peers. Being a professional artist and succeeding as a professional artist isn't just a question of knowing what you're doing. Obviously, you have to reach a threshold of skill and technique. But after that, it's about concept and ideas and originality and what makes it you and sustaining the production of artwork. And in that way, the skills are very much akin to the skills of an academic, of a scholar.
Ta-da!
First print off
The only people who have reservations about my working toward being a professional artist are my teachers. And they have seen what I can do.
In her life as a scholar, Painter has frequently used art and images to read and render history, in contrast to the established practice of relying solely on written texts. For example, in her biography of the abolitionist Sojourner Truth.
Sojourner Truth didn't read and write, so I had to learn a whole new set of skills to try to get to her because she didn't, everything I know of her in words is what other people wrote down for their own purposes. What did Sojourner Truth project for her own purposes? Photographs. Sojourner Truth's own portraits are very ladylike, dignified, calm, composed. That's not what we want from Sojourner Truth now. In creating Black Americans, I used images to show what people of imagination might make of an issue or a person. So the favorite Sojourner Truth in creating Black Americans is Inga Hardison's Sojourner Truth.
Ew. Now Painter is creating images of her own, of herself. Today's assignment, working with a reduced palette and a large brush in order to concentrate on light and shadow.
Oh.
People often ask me, my friends from the academic world ask me, gee, that's really great. You must be having a lot of fun. And I don't have fun in art, but it's very satisfying.
Her other exercises include drawing the figure and adding layers of muscle and bone. And transcribing or copying work by other artists, such as this painting of Alice Neal's portrait of artist Faith Ringgold.
The reason for doing a lot is that 90% is kind of getting there, and maybe 10% is actually being there.
In the interior too.
At least in the drawing.
Yeah, exactly.
My faculty teachers have been very supportive. They love the idea of having a grown-up. And my being a grown-up in class really pleases my teachers because I come on time, I do my work, that sort of thing. Plus, I know how to get what I need from my professors. I go to office hours and sit there and ask the question. I'm not afraid. And I do talk, and I will disagree with my teachers.
This is a self-portrait I did in the spring of 2007. And at that time, that was the best I could do. And you can see it's kind of not that bad, but it's clearly kind of amateur work. It's student work. And I'm still working on self-portraits. But this was the painting that my evaluators looked at and told me that I should give up trying to paint the figure because this was so inept that it just had so far to go. And they didn't say, and you're so old that you don't have time, but it was kind of like, give up. And as you see, I haven't. I think my painting has improved a good deal since then, but I'm still learning.